this is a video. So I'll start with avatars. The topic for today is what are 3D avatars, virtual humans, digital humans. There are various names for it. How are they impacting different industries? Who are some of the market leaders? What are they currently doing? And what are some of my opinions about it, and how I feel that some of them are doing some great work and some of them are going in the very typical direction of one person becoming a trillionaire and everyone else just working for them like drones. So what is the path that our startup is looking to take, and how we are collaborating with other artists to create virtual influencers for their specific industries. But a little bit of fun first. Yesterday, I forgot to mention, over the weekend, of course, I started watching And Just Like That, Sex and the City, or the latest whatever version. And the reason why I watch it, because when it started out, there were a lot of our friends in school who identified themselves as different characters, and I've heard a lot about this show. But somehow this season, this series that has started now, I asked a lot of friends, nobody really cares, but they are trying to touch upon a lot of issues about women and how this show needs to be modernized. So last episode was about this whole our generation be called auntie, and lot of my friends and relatives have grown up seeing, "Arey auntie mat bulao na yaar." So if you have to say it out loud, of course they are going to call you auntie. So even in the show in 2022, there is a scene where the main character, protagonist, is trying to look cool to her younger neighbor, and when she calls her ma'am, there's a cringe. Now, on one hand, you are trying to say that all of that doesn't matter, but then one of the most popular shows is perpetuating the same stereotype that ma'am means wrong. Why? What else are you going to call? When men, they get called sir, nobody cringes like that. Oh my God, my heart skipped a beat. Nothing like that happens. So maybe women need to chill out a little bit. That yes, when we turn 30, 35, 40, that's kind of nature. We do get called auntie and ma'am and things like that. So get over yourselves. So that's as far as my 2-bit on auntie rant. Now I'll get to work. So today we are going to get to the virtual influencer space, and I'm going to start with the ones that we are working on. And this is our first. I mean, he's a superhero, but I personally think that he's more of a virtual influencer, potential to be a virtual influencer. And I do feel that we need to start looking at what influencers mean in the next 10 years. There are human influencers, there are virtual influencers, there are sentient influencers, or there are these robot influencers. So how are we going to separate it? What do the laws say today, and how that will have an impact on how the virtual influencer market grows in the next 10 years? Because NFT is kind of at the center of this. How it will have an impact on the NFT market, we are ourselves figuring it out, because there are so many new ideas that people are throwing at us and talking about it, that we ourselves are constantly confused as startups as to which ideology to adopt, because there's nothing which is extremely explained to us in like some textbook that, okay, I can take this and there is a rule book to it. Okay. So this is our DesiPopWorld page right now. We launched Kali a couple of weeks ago, the first superhero who resides in the universe, Mind Room universe, and what he stands for, what his philosophies are. And recently my team has started inviting people to ask questions, and Kali, the superhero, how would he respond, so that they can get to a place where they can invite actors to audition and use virtual influencer of Kali, the digital puppet that we are working on, where people can do live auditions to act as Kali, and nobody really knows who the people are behind. If the person is a little popular, you might be able to understand by the voice, but otherwise that's not really the point. The point is that people who are shy and do want to act, this way they can act in front of the camera, like the way they act in front of, in the bathroom they sing, or in front of the cameras, in the mirror they act. Now they can do the same, but instead of they just doing it for no audience, they can actually just use and hide behind puppets and be able to perform. So one of the big things that one of my friends is working on is how to use this digital puppetry, the virtual influencer, the superhero universe, which the next generation and our generation also is extremely influenced by, to use them for mental health and mental health therapy. And how do we use this immersive technology to focus on eradicating some of the bigger problems, rather than just using the same thing for having concerts and having fun. Right now it's okay because we are in COVID and we are all stuck at home, so great to use this. But I do think, and I am on the side of the opinion that the whole metaverse concept, we should not just sit on a table and immerse ourselves into the metaverse. We should use the metaverse to assist our life and not get completely immersed in it. The reason why I am kind of a little rattled about this whole piece is that yesterday I watched an episode by Dhruv Rathi. He talked about metaverse. Now, Dhruv Rathi, a shout out to him, because over the last 3-4 months, since the time I've discovered, he has this very interesting, based out of India, I think, and he speaks in Hindi, so I get a chance to like listen to some good, intelligent, articulate conversations in Hindi, like monologues, because otherwise this kind of news, tech news and all, I don't have that many links of people that I can watch. So Dhruv Rathi talked about metaverse, and his whole opinion was that he's more scared of it, that why do we need to live in it? Why do we need to just go there? Isn't it better to just go to a mountain instead of just sitting at a small place and using this? So the thing is that any technology like this starts from the richer countries, people who have the money. So of course the luxury market, and especially right now because of COVID, the fashion market, the luxury market, the experience market, the Porsches and the Mercedes of the world, they all have the money to make these things as case studies. But the actual use of all of this, what we are looking to do is look at the 17 UNDP goals that they have set out to try and tackle every year, whatever is on the top of their mind. So for us, what we are looking at doing is we are combining the storytelling capability, iconic characters, virtual influencers, augmented reality, literature, language and literature, the way it's taught in schools, science. How do you tackle all of that and try to tackle UNDP goals? It just sounds extremely ambitious, but if we start taking small pieces of goals and convert it into small chewable stories and partner with people who understand this, it'll be easier. I do feel, because some people, especially recently, I've been interacting with a lot of professors out of Canada, Europe, and East Asia, and they are all doing some really fantastic case studies with some 100 kids, 200 kids who are not very well read academically. Like, they're very, very bright kids, but somehow they can't do rote learning, they can't memorize, but then they're not autistic, but I don't know the technicalities of what spectrum that is in, but these are people, like, if you just interacted with them, you wouldn't really know that these are special needs people. And I feel like sometimes I fall in that category, and with this whole ecosystem that I'm becoming a part of, I feel that my capability of grasping very complicated macro issues is becoming a little easier, and I do hope to partner with a lot of people to be able to. Is that Anju? No. Yaar, tera itna lamba eternal blossom. I can't believe I forgot. Archana, hi. Hi Naveen, you've been following me. Thank you. Okay, so I'm now going to go and get to the virtual influence. I'm a little frazzled right now. I have to open my email because my team again has sent me a very nice brief about how I need to talk. By the way, the reason I'm so nervous and my hands are actually shaking is because I've noticed a lot of people who are online today are like from people I know from a very, very long time. And I have not interacted with them in a very long time, so I'm very nervous. You all have made me nervous. So people who are very regulars today, if I'm being very weird, it's because of them. Like this Archana, babe, I've not spoken to in a very long time. You drop in on my thing like this and expecting me to perform well. It's very nerve-wracking. What are you doing? All you school friends. Ek-ek karke aao tum log. Logs topic. I'm sorry, as you can see. Okay. Okay. So the logo. So the logo behind that, like using the first letter of the Hindi letter K, and then using that as part of the weapon. I don't know the exact details of what the powers of the weapon will be, because Hassan is keeping that a secret and revealing it to us as well, slowly, the way audience is looking at it. So it becomes exciting for him also to get initial feedback from us. So I'm going to read this out. So he is Kalyug Ka Kali, and the story behind the logo is that we have tried to portray three things: Kalyug, Kali, infinity, which is his immortality. Kali is our original created character with supernatural and invisible powers. He is the leader of an age to which the nature has chosen him. Now, over the years, organic reach for business and social media has continued to decline, and with so much of content being posted every day, what we are realizing is that the people who actually curate all this content are becoming more and more relevant. Now, people who are curating these content, the last 3 years, the trend has been that these curators themselves land up becoming content creators. So it's becoming a meta cycle that, okay, somebody starts creating a content, opens Instagram, YouTube channel, now is jumping on this PFP where you have your virtual influencer avatar become your profile picture, so that you can become anonymous and be able to say what you want to without getting that hate speech. Now, when that comes in, the explosion of content is so much that people are getting more and more fragmented, and we are all seeing that everybody is having a lot of problems trying to reach across the aisle and have conversations. So all of us are getting to a nice little bubble space that, okay, what you are saying, I'm saying the same thing, preaching to the choir, and we are all happy in our own little bubble, which pretty much means that we are going back in time where people didn't travel that much, so our whole experiences were very limited. So what is the whole point of having all of this digital connectivity where at a click of a button, I'm in a position to talk to somebody sitting in Antarctica, yet we are still choosing to segregate ourselves so much because we don't agree with your point of view. So with this whole superhero universe, we have felt that a lot of people, whether it be adults or youngsters, are more comfortable expressing themselves through alter egos and storytelling, which has always been the case, whether it be mental or physical abuse, whether it be anything to do with negativity. People just feel that it's easier to express themselves either to a stranger or as a stranger. So for us, this whole Desi Superverse platform, using iconic characters, create these completely out there scenarios, and then express your angst, your, like, the positive feelings is very easy, but we do know that over the last 3 years, everyone, wherever you go, everybody's been touched by some sort of a trauma. So for us, the idea is, how do we make things a little lighter, use all the dark shit that is swirling around, and create these fun little tidbits. Now, if you are in the fashion industry, as you know, there's a whole fashion conversation I keep having with digital fashion. You can do that. If you're in the toy industry, then this is the best time to get into, whether you look at physical toys or digital toys. Now, okay, so one of the things is that concern is for the ad market. How are they going to sustain themselves? How are they going to try and reach to the next generation audience? I'll tell you an incident. So we have a friend who, we were talking to this friend who has a toddler, probably 2 or 3 years old, maybe, or even younger than that. And the parents don't they've chosen not to give them YouTube Premium subscription, because then the kid is completely fixed. Why they have done that? Because as soon as the ad comes or the jingle of the show comes, before the show, like, you know, the jingle comes, the kid starts saying, no ad, no ad, no ad. And the kid is not even 2, and the parent has to, like, starts bawling, and you have to quickly do this and move on. That reminded me of how impatient we have become, where when we watch Netflix, if an episode is finished, and then the skip intro, if we miss it, we get pissed off. So how are brands going to engage if 2-year-old kids can tell the difference between what they are watching as a story and this is an ad, which means that brands have even a more uphill task of creating such immersive content that kids don't know you're trying to sell them. But I just feel that that is even more dangerous, that kids don't even know this is an ad, because that's another can of worms that we have opened up. So this is where I feel virtual influencers and digital humans have the power to make so much of damage or an impact on any topic that is why I feel that every company's marketing head, CEO, CFO, CTO should at least try and understand what the power of a digital human or a virtual influencer can be for whatever product they are trying to make or sell, and what kind of stories they are going to make to engage the kids, because that looks extremely dangerous if the 2-year-old kid can tell the difference between an ad and story so much, which will eventually push the brands to completely engage and immerse and actually become production companies. So imagine if brands become production companies, then what is the target that will be given to the manager, sales targets? That I just want to make sure that this is the new form of drug, that I need these many kids addicted to my content. So a very dark conversation again. Clearly, I'm in great mood these days to go into the Okay, so one of the things I definitely would like to talk about Kali here is that there are 7 characters that we are working on. So this is the first one. I would love for you guys to read through all the posts of Kali, and if you had to create an alter ego, or even if it's not an alter ego, if you thought that you would like to create a character to either sell products for your company or whatever business you are in, whether you are in the services industry, whether you are just in some sort of a trading industry, if you could represent your business in some form as a mascot online, who could talk, who could interact, who would have values, what would be that person's mission, vision? It's almost like you are bringing in a new chief impact officer. So this is what I wanted to talk about as well. That if you notice pbo.nyc, we have added a designation called Chief Impact Officer. Over the last 3 years, this name has been gaining traction in different companies, and people are talking about what it means to be a Chief Impact Officer. Is Chief Impact Officer replacing marketing heads, or is Chief Impact Officer now the salesperson? So for about a year and a half, I was not very convinced that, there is something like a Chief Impact Officer. But then over the last 6 months, I talked to almost 15 to 20 startup guys in the NFT and retail space. And that's where they are using this word a lot more in the retail space, that who can create an impact, which is a much more loose term. So the closest you would think is that the person, a big celebrity or influencer who then gets hired to brand endorse, is that a Chief Impact Officer? That used to be the case 20 years ago, but not anymore. Because today, if somebody has a brand, an influencer, and he makes a digital influencer, the rights of that digital influencer, the copy of it, based on the agreement that the human has with the brand, will define who owns that 3D version or the holographic version or the virtual influencer version of that human. Now, if that is owned by the corporation, then the laws, ethics, everything will go on the corporate side. But if it is owned by the individual, then the individual will have more say, because he or she can then treat that as their twins, like it's called a digital twin, and decide what you want to do with it. Now, when you take that and you then subcontract it to a brand company, and the brand company uses that not just to try and sell, but also to make impact in terms of, let's say, there is a mental health coach who partners with a big influencer, and they land up making a mental health doctor, teach that digital influencer all kinds of psychological and psychiatric data. Like we feed that. So now we are making a AI who's a psychologist. Now an AI who's a psychologist who's supposed to treat people, we have also learned that these AIs are extremely biased. Why are these AIs very biased? So if you decide that, okay, I am a doctor, or I'm a, like when it comes to medical, it's a lot more risky. But now we have seen that retail industry is as risky because shopping is kind of now a certified addiction. So with that in mind, if you are one of those social entrepreneurs who's in the retail industry, but you want to, like people who make cigarettes, you have to put that hanikarak, like, you know, the warning label. So if you do something like that, then what is the impact that that character would make on the audience also means that if there is a problem, the same character is interacting. Have you seen the film Her? Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. Isn't that the movie? Her. You should definitely watch this movie if you haven't, because this is the movie that kind of firmed up a lot of the thoughts that were swirling in my mind based on a lot of articles that I had read. I've seen a lot of other dystopian films as well about virtual influencers and what you can do, etc. But I'm just going to put this Her movie poster. Just give me a second. As I had said, I have a very weird way of searching for things. So this is that movie where basically he installs an operating system, and the operating system is an AI, which is in Scarlett Johansson's voice, and he starts interacting with her and how he's dependent on her and how they build a bond. Now, there are a lot of other films where you will see the same thing happening, but in movies they justify everything. But in real life, there are some really scary, realistic interactions that started happening with AI, and that line, on one hand, you can tell that he's not AI, but he's close enough to freak people out. So, Chief Impact Officer will be a combination of compliance officer, the compliance side of it, the ethical side of it, the social entrepreneur side of it, the brand protection side of it. All of that will get combined into this one Chief Impact Officer. And who should that be? Who should represent that? I feel that is going to be a bigger question in the next 5 years than anything else that you see, whether it's creative officer or sales officer or CEO or CEO. Any questions till now? One more time. My glasses, I can't read. The phone is 4 feet away. A lot of people who are writing, I can't see. I had one question. Once I stream live and I post it on my post, I don't see all these live things. So I'm still trying to figure out. So that's why I'm not able to reach out to you guys after the conversation is concerned. Hey, Vinita, another school friend. Oh God, I'm getting very nervous. Please don't do this. I need a schedule, which day, which friend is going to come. So I know that today I have like 6 of them. Not fair. Okay. Now let's get into straight to the virtual influencer side of it. So this is a website, virtualhumans.org. I cite this a lot. I love this site. The reason for me loving this site is that it's a great place where curated interviews with virtual influencers. It pretends like it's talking to the virtual influencer, so you get a sense of how you can create virtual influencers which will have its own personality, even though you are feeding it or you are one of the most important information that's going in. One of the things that I am realizing, so I've been using a bunch of different ready-made apps to try and create my AI voice and my virtual influencer, feeding it data. Your own biases and your own inhibitions, all of that gets impacted onto an AI. The closest I can explain is the way a kid learns. So imagine a lot of the times we say, like when parents are fighting or whatever is happening at home, the kid lands up soaking all of that information, even if you are not actively teaching it. With AI also, a lot of that happens. So for example, let's say if we want to make an AI which represents a fairness cream brand. Now, the reason I'm using Fairness Cream brand is that every year we read these very liberal articles that, oh my God, I don't see color and you should not put, and India, like, we should not perpetuate it. But the profits and loss account at the end of the year shows very different. So this obsession with fair skin. Now imagine if that company or that brand makes a AI whose job is to answer questions to people who buy that product. Now, the person who is making that AI, if that person is of that opinion, who looks down upon, or not looks down, but is definitely extremely obsessed with the idea of either becoming fair or has practiced that whole feeling, that whole energy, because of every small little things that they type or write or say, gets captured by the AI data and becomes biased as well. So there have been instances after instances where AIs have been racist, they have been assholes all through. Now, coming back to virtual influencers, so the idea is that this is an article which talks about what you can do with, like, what are the top 10 virtual, what's going on? Yeah. 10 brands which are well equipped to launch a virtual influencer. This is just to give you an example of what are the brands which he feels, the author here feels, could very successfully transition into having their own virtual influencer, virtual avatar. And so yesterday I had said that I'm going to do research and find out what are the different industries, who are the virtual influencers who work in different industries. I wasn't able to find a lot, but this was the closest. So I thought I'll show this and discuss a little about this. So this is written by, just give me a second, Soha Imam. That's the author, and you should check it out at virtualhumans.org. Yeah, okay. So for example, if you look at any brand, so in India, if I had to look at Parle G, right, that Rasna, the Parle G or Rasna girl, I would think if you look at nostalgia and if you are a storyteller and even if you just want to do a case study, imagine you take that Parle G girl or you take that Rasna girl, you collaborate with a wannabe artist, a junior artist, get into creating that 3D model. What you can do is attach a phone to the software cycle that I work on, make that girl talk, check it out how it works, and test it out with friends. This is the easiest way to work. This thing is called beachhead marketing principle. One of my friends had suggested, so it's stuck in my head, that it is an analogy used Normandy Beach, the war that had happened. Using that strategy, this is called beachhead marketing principle, where what you do is you create whatever you want as an MVP, which is a minimum viable product. It could be intangible product like a story or video or whatever, and test it out in a focus group with your friends, pass it around, see the reaction, and then just start using that as open an account on social media, whichever platform you think works best for you, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, or even like, the Kmart, not Kmart, what is the Mart site that is there, like the Alibaba type of different countries of India mostly. Put it up there and then start interacting with people as the virtual influencer starts responding, because there have been studies where they show that people tend to associate with a brand more if there is a human connection. It's a proven fact. And now with virtual influencers, it just becomes a little easier to do that. Okay. Yes, my mic is still working. Okay. So these are all, if you notice, the characters that they are talking about is pretty much going in the entertainment side of it. Like you have a game, you have TV characters, you have TV shows, M&M. This is of course American brands, because this company, mostly like Western brands, Pillsbury Doughboy. So all of these lend itself to being virtual influencers. But I am more interested in seeing in the mental health space, how we can use virtual influencers, how we can use iconic Bollywood characters that we have grown up with, that has impacted us so much that we cite Bollywood lines in daily lives as well, and people understand what you're trying to imply. So pretty much the Bollywood lines have become part of our dictionary, the way we express ourselves. So does that mean that there is an IP to it, or now it has just become part of a language that we can use and create a character which is not really the character of the movie, but something that I have blended from 4 characters, made one, there's no copyright. Again, you create a avatar, have a conversation. Teachers, that's a great area to look at, how to, like, how individual teachers, like the future of tuition, what can future of tuition look like with virtual influencers? Should the virtual influencers replace teachers, or teachers should be the ones who take it upon themselves, that we are the ones who will understand what this teaching in the virtual influencer industry can do for us, and how we can double our income, how we can create our own style of teaching. So if there is a teacher that students like, then that teacher, that those students should actually go to the teacher and say, okay, great, we come to you for 2 hours a day, 2 hours a week to learn from you, but now you will be able to assist us with these as well. So why don't you start training this AI of yours, and we will figure this out. So these are small little things that can be done for anyone and everybody to get started on this whole virtual influencer metaverse journey. I think, is there anything else? Okay. The next question is why. Give me a second, please. Okay, I have to put up this article. Okay, this is an article by, okay, I will butcher his name, but I'll still say it, Dr. Joachim Scholz. Okay, so here basically what this virtual influencers outperform their traditional counterparts on these 6 brand benefits. This is pretty much the subtopic of this article, and the reason why this article really attracted my attention was that this on one hand looks like anything that we say when we see some new technology, that this is here to take away jobs of people, which is true. Like if you look at a lot of the low-end jobs, and people just talk about like how it's going to take away low-end jobs, and then never follow through with that how we can actually take this same technology, go to those people who will lose their jobs, get them to develop their skills on the same space, and instead of them threatening their job, they actually assist their job. I will give my example that I consider myself artist, graphic designer, whatever. Now over the years, everything in Photoshop, everything in all the softwares that I've worked on is becoming easier and easier and easier. Does it mean that it has replaced me? No, it just means that it gives me an opportunity to do the basic menial part of the design work faster, so that I can spend more and more time in trying to think and come up with better content, idea, design, whatever I'm working on. So in terms of this article is basically saying in the current scenario, there is proof that virtual influencers outperform traditional influencers. Now, what are the key points in this article? I'm just going to read that out. What he says, my key point in this article is that virtual influencers offer superior benefits to brands on the following 6 dimensions. Okay, the 6 dimensions that he's mentioning is that virtual influencers outperform real world influencers in terms of engagement rates, offer cost-saving opportunities in content creation and administration, excel at reaching younger consumer audiences, can offer unique product brand influencer fit, limit risk exposure through expanding brands control, and can be readily incorporated into brands' metaverse strategies. Right? Now, the interesting thing is that this has been made by humans only. So it's very similar to that we perform slower than a computer, but we are the ones who make the computer. So the same logic can apply here. Here we are just taking it to the next step, where in all through 70s, 80s, 90s, and the like last 40 years, the computer has become faster and faster than us because we are making it faster. And now what we are doing is we are saying, okay, we have made this thing. Now I don't like the way this thing looks. I want this thing, this computer to look like me. I want to become a computer. So this digital influencer is nothing but you becoming a computer so that you can do everything that you ever wanted to do at a much faster pace, and you can do 10 things at the same time. So now whether you want to be one of those people who creates your own influencer, or you are the kind of person, you're smart enough to figure out that, no, I think my business is better if I collaborate with other influencers because I'm not really interested. The bottom line is that virtual influencers are here to stay. Digital twins are here to stay. And we have to decide whether we want to completely immerse ourselves in it or use it to enhance our physical lives. Hey, Ruchi! Ujjwal, hi. Okay. So I'm going to wait for some 30 seconds if you all have any questions while I get ready for my next section. Okay. Now, one of the things is that I've talked a lot about what is the importance of virtual influencer, why you should have one, what is it going to do to your business, how it can help you. The most important aspect is what you tell, how you tell the story. This is again from this article, this page. The headline is Why Storytelling Can Make or Break a Virtual Influencer by McKenna Rasmussen. I have read a bunch of her articles and they are very enlightening because her style of writing is very easy to digest. So that's why I like reading her work. Okay, let me bring that up in mine as well so that I can talk about it. So if you notice, like, I'm just going to read the headlines and then talk about what they mean. Barbie makes her first blog. Michaela discovers she's a robot. World record egg comes to life. FN Mecca, what FN, I don't know, like, how do you pronounce this? I don't know which character this is. Live in the future. So these headlines are pretty much similar to showing what the whole movie is about, like a trailer. So with that one line, like imagine this is not even 165 characters. So you have to attract somebody's attention in less than 165 characters. So that is even tougher and tougher. So what is unique? How do 6 billion people, like imagine tomorrow 6 billion people become virtual humans. So we have 12 billion souls in the planet with 12 billion stories. So that's not practical. So that's why it's extremely important to stand out and figure out what is the USP and what is the biggest thing that you can offer and bring to the table that at least the next 1,000 people around you can't. To say that nobody else can is stupidity. All these fucking founders keep talking about come up with an idea that nobody else has thought. Nothing like this shit ever happens. There are 100 people who are working and thinking on the same idea at the same point of time. Whoever comes up with it first in the most unique manner is the one who will be called like that, and then the others will learn from them and then improve it. So I'm going on a rant here. But on this point, I remember one thing, that what should blockchain be used for? Now with every data, every piece of yourself available on the internet, can we have an idea tracking blockchain, please? Where, especially in the storytelling industry, especially in Bollywood, I definitely would like an idea tracking industry. That somebody has written a first draft of a script, goes to a big production house gives them measly money because they say, oh, the second draft is very different from it. But it started from the first draft. So this happens in startups, this happens in stories, movies, patent ideas, everywhere. So can we use blockchain to track idea sheets from these college graduates who start, like all these Shark Tanks of the world, where these kids go and pitch, and there are these middlemen? We would love to have some sort of an app where it can be tracked that who said what first and can be proven when you are applying for patents and registering your scripts. Again, sorry, that was part of my rant. Yeah. Oh, one very important thing I wanted to say. So finally, there is snow happening this weekend in New York City. It's going to be a blizzard on Saturday, Sunday, and I have taken out my ski pants because over the last 10 years, I have gone out on the worst snowstorm of the day, if it allows, like if there's no government advisory that don't go out. I go out and take some like random pictures all over wearing my ski pants. So this weekend is going to be a blizzard. So if that happens, and if I go and now that I'm Instagram live, if that happens, I'll just probably go live. And if you guys are free, check it out. Otherwise, it will be posted. So I am super excited about it. I hope it's not dangerous that the government has to give an advisory. So I do plan to walk around and go all the way to Times Square. Okay. Now, one of the things coming back to these influencers, this is a very cool and fun story of this egg. So the first time, so this was one of the artists who created, and the virtual influencer was just an egg, and it was just there. And then I think an NFT was made and it was sold for some crazy amount of money. I don't know if it's the same egg. And then what they had done was that after a while, they created a story about it, and that it cracked and it came to life. And that was one of the great viral moments in moment marketing. So you should definitely check out this case study. I think I'm pretty much done, but one more time before people who joined in late. Today was a virtual influencer superhero special day. Kali, our first original superhero from the superhero universe Mind Rune, original creator Hassan Mithoriwala. Please check it out. And the 3D, we are pretty much ready. The reason we have been holding on to it is because my team is working on some very interesting narrative, because they wanted to do it with digital puppetry. So the idea is now with these two screens, I can also show, and next week I'm hoping once I have both the monitors working, that while I'm talking, I'll have one of the puppets here and show you that with one phone kept here, while I'm talking, as I'm talking, the puppet will also be moving. That will only be the head because I won't be wearing my motion capture suit, but I'll definitely try and show that. So please do tune in on Tuesday. I'm trying to do for two characters, Kali as well as me in my school uniform. So yes, I have made a show called School Uniform as one of my avatars. I had a very funny nickname, pretty much like a Chandra nickname. So I hope that's my avatar there, my school avatar. So I plan to launch that on Tuesday. And if my friends like it, I will start making each one of you. Starting with, who do I see right now from school? Vinita, Poda. I'm going to make her digital avatar and what she used to do in school. Imagine Vinita. Be careful. So on that note, thank you guys. Please, DesiPopWorld, Desi Superverse, DesiPop Things, 3 accounts that we are currently playing around with. Check it out. If you guys think that you, your cousins, your nieces, nephews, the kids are interested in playing around with these characters, making their own characters, using these objects and having conversations, please write to us at artist2artist@pbo.nyc. Artist to artist with the 2 being the letter, the number. I'll put it on the post. Please reach out. And DesiPop Things is now starting to look for partners who can look at our existing pieces. So I think we have donuts, medicine, achar, cola, and chocolates, and a whole bunch of other products. Now we are looking for collaborators who can take these products and add their own quirkiness to it. What was their experience like with that iconic character, and how they can participate in telling stories, and if they would like to collaborate and come in front of the screen but are shy to be on camera but can want to interact with the audience as objects and these digital puppets, please reach out. So I think that's pretty much it. Wow, I'm done earlier than usual. So thank you so much one more time. I would love to be able to gift all of you who are supporting me right now NFTs. So please do go to OpenSea account, and right now I just have one NFT, which is Haryana Hurricane NFT, but soon I will be launching more. So all of these, like people who are supporting me right now, I'm going to, like once I've organized myself and I have a team, I know all the people who are reaching out. I would love to gift all of you free NFTs of these early editions that I'm doing. The purpose of gifting free NFTs is that the idea as an artist for me is not that I make one piece and sell for $60 million. Yes, I do hope someday. But for me, it's important that all the friends around who are coming here also understand the value of NFTs, figure out how to play around with it. If you like them, gift them, because gifting and regifting NFTs is what is going to make this a sustainable market. Otherwise, it will just become like one of those beanie stories that we had in our 90s. It was a rage and it just completely collapsed. So creating a marketplace where you gift each other NFTs, create some value around it, let it not become this recyclable gifting cycle. It will be absolutely fantastic. And on that note, I'm going to plug in my NFTs. Hold on. Where is it? And on that note, I'm going to shamelessly plug this. And so this is, for people who don't know, 62 NFTs for 62 quotes that Mr. Kapil Dev said over the years, that my interpretation of that art, each NFT is one circle of this digital action figure. And if I am able to sell at the price, at a decent high price, then my whole purpose of doing these I call these phygital NFTs, because the purpose is that anybody who buys this NFT gets the physical part of the physical copy of this as well. Because for me, ideally, I'm still very old school, so I love the idea of having physical stuff. So imagine having this, and then people who, so this is like the commercial thing, and then people who want to download these 3D models and want to add their own thing and maybe animate it and maybe create an NFT of top 20 catches and things like that would be great. So more than happy. So anybody who wants to collaborate, telling stories, or want to use this for promoting their brands, etc. Haryana Hurricane, not Mr. Kapil Dev. I don't have the rights. So that's pretty much it on that very, very loud and neurotic note. I'm going to say bye. Have a great weekend, and I promise Tuesday I'll be better and more organized. And by then I would have definitely posted some really cool pictures and dirty and pretty pictures of New York City in this big snowstorm. So thank you everyone one more time, and I really can't appreciate enough for all of you who come and spend your precious time hearing and seeing me rant. Thank you so much.